It is day number 3 of the Risen Champions League round robin. We've got a matchup today that features two teams at 1-1, and only one of these teams will make it on to the elimination playoffs. My name is Joker. Thank you so much for joining us today here for day number 3. I'm not going to be the only one here leading us through and analyzing these games. I've got two wonderful analysts here right by my side to cover the rest of the games. I've got Axeman87 and Mystic joining us. Gentlemen, welcome on
Let's
to
go.
the desk.
What's up, Joker? I'm so excited to be here back on Risen, man. I haven't been on here in a long time, and it's a pretty big event, so I'm looking forward to it. But Mystic, how you feeling, man? What's going on, man?
Fantastic, fantastic. Glad to be back on the desk. Excited to see this matchup tonight. Two really big heavyweights going at it for a spot in potentially playoffs. So,
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
both of these teams sitting 1-1 here in Group B action. We do have Maryville taking on 100 Thieves next, just so you are aware. But don't forget, we have multiple streams going on today for this final day of the round robin knockout stage. You can hit the exclamation mark streams, command streams, to check out our other streams that we've got going on. So let's just jump right into it today, gentlemen. Like I said, Maryville University taking on 100 Thieves next, and in a matchup that we have seen a couple of times here previously. But these two teams again sitting 1-1 here in Group B, last chances for them to make it out, make it into the playoffs. Run me through a couple of these things here. Let me know what you guys feel is gonna happen in this setup.
Get it, Mystic. You got it.
all right. Well, the first thing I'm looking at on the side of 100 Thieves is when you look at their games previously, it's basically been the Chad show. Chad Jungle has been running the early game tempo, really creating advantages all across the map for them. And they've been able to snowball that into advantages come the late game and into wins uh, in their wins that we've seen so far. So it's really been the Chad show on that end. As far as Maryville, it's been a little bit of everybody. Seen a lot of
Yep.
Instinct, of course, being the heavy carry for them. Uh, or sorry, wrong team here. It's been a lot of Azog being the heavy carry for them. Spearaxe, of course, young up and coming mid laner who's been on fire, and Shady is, of course, always the rock in the support position, commanding everything across the map for them. So, going to be interesting to see how this plays out today.
It
Yeah,
definitely will be.
yeah.
100%. Go ahead, Joker. Sorry.
No, well, I was actually going to lead it over to you here for this one,
Me.
Axeman. What are the names that we all should know if you have history in professional League of Legends? Is the top laner for 100 Thieves next, Gamsu, returning to League of Legends after a stint in Overwatch for about 3.5, 4 years, coming right back working with the 100 Thieves next and diving back into the top lane where he was a former starter for Dignitas and Fnatic in 2015 and 2016. What are we looking for Gamsu? Is he still knocking off that ring rust, so to speak? Is he still trying to get his bearings back underneath him, or is he going to be able to just come out and basically dominate the entire matchup?
So here's the thing, Joker. Overwatch, obviously a very different game from League of Legends, so there's definitely some differences there. But you're right, he's got history with the game, man, and that's something about League of Legends you can always come back to. Is that we got challengers that'll come back in the game that only played in season like 1 to 3 or something like that, and they come back in the game and just come back like it was nothing, right? You have different metas, different champions, all that stuff. But as long as you have a love for the game, that's all it takes, man. That and hands, and that's definitely what Gamsu has gotten. I think if anything's standing in Gamsu's way today, it's probably Odd Orange up in the top side of the map here. Guy's like a massive skill check player. He's up there with the Nidalee, up there with the Lee Sin constantly. And I feel like he's probably going to bring the heat today. Something about the meta as well is it's just huge in the early game right now, especially in that jungle position. So Gamsu's going to have to draft something that's going to be able to contend with that threat.
Yeah, that threat of Odd Orange in the jungle here from Maryville, but also has to deal with former pro player Chippies as well, a former Oceanic pro. So Tell me a little bit more, Mystic, about that top side matchup here for Maryville, the Chippies, the Odd Orange combination. We talked about Spearax, we talked about Azog, but we didn't really talk about these two. These two are Odd Orange definitely is a long-standing force here with Maryville. Now working with Chippies, these two have developed quite a bit of synergy between the two of them.
Yeah, they look really, really good ever since Chippies came over from OS. He's got a pretty flexible champ pool, which really aids Odd Orange well, because if he needs a matchup where Chippies can get push early and create pressure, he can do that. If he needs a little bit more of a tank so they can play through Azog or Spearaxe, he can do that as well. Uh, Usually, like you said, goes towards the Lee Sin, goes towards the Nidalee. So it's a really great matchup for them if they look to exploit the 2v2 on the top side. It's going to be interesting though, because as I mentioned earlier, seen a lot from Chad in going really early aggressive towards that. Even though they don't necessarily play to Gamsu on the top side, he's usually on tank duty for the most part. He can pull out the Gnar, can pull out the team fight facilitators. But yeah, going to be really interesting because, as you said, that top side synergy between Odd Orange and Chippies is one of the most fearsome in top M right now.
It really is. We'll have to see if the tank duty here of Gamsu can sustain and outlast, because typically, if those tanks can make it through the early game, make it through any kind of issues that they may have, getting ganked, getting dove, they can make it into the later stages of the game and be perfectly fine. So, gentlemen, we're getting ready to get ourselves into the lobby, getting everybody ready. Go ahead and give me some brief predictions here, at least for the series, and then we'll jump into game one. So for the series overall, Axeman, who do you have going on to playoffs?
It's got to be Maryville University. They're the champions, man. Huge history with this organization. I already talked about the top side there with Chippies, with Odd Orange. They're going to hit it in the early game. They're going to make it happen. It's going to be game one over 20 minutes, and then they're going to win game two in a landslide as well. Big 2-0.
Oh, big drop there from Axeman. I love it. I love the confidence. I love the aura, Axeman. All right, now, on the flip side, Mystic, who you got here for the series?
Wow. Yeah, I definitely don't have a 2-0. I can't call it that, but geez, it's a tough one because you have veteran experience on both sides with Gamsu, and then Shady, of course, who's been in forever, huge macro presence. Chippies, of course, as well. Gosh, this one's tough to call, man. I'm gonna have to say Maryville as well.
Let's
I
go.
think it's gonna hinge a lot on bot lane and mid specifically. I think the top side for 100x is going to be able to hold its own, but I think Spearaxe may be able to skill check Young a little bit. I don't know. Don't quote me on it, but think he could. And I think the bot lane again is just such a driving force for Maryville. I think it's going to help them clean this. I'm going to say 2-1 though.
All right, 2-1. So we heard game number one here from Axeman. It's going to be a 20-minute stop by Maryville. Do you think it's going to be a game number one going to Maryville, or do you think that 100 Thieves Next will take over that game one and get the run back here from Maryville, Mystic?
I think it's going to be 100x coming out with. We know 100x like to come out with early game stuff, hard, fast, hit you in the mouth, and leave you little time to respond. I'm going to say for that reason, we're probably going to see 100x take game one. But I think the adaptations and experience from Maryville are going to come back and help them turn it around here and make the right changes for game two and game three.
All right, love to hear that. We've got a split desk here between game number one, Maryville, and 100 Thieves X. We're going to go ahead and send it on over to the casters as we're getting ourselves ready here for game number one in draft. So, go for Reno, Gordo. Gentlemen, take it away. Let's have some fun tonight.
Hello, everybody, and thank you all for joining us for today's broadcast of Maryville University coming up against 100 Thieves Next. My name is Gordo, and I am joined on the cast tonight by Goferino. Goferino, how are you doing, my man?
Consuming a lot of liquids, because you have to consume a lot of liquids when you go out in this heat. And there is a dog who insists on going out in this heat, because my dog is a spoiled fluff ball. However, though, thankfully I am hydrated and electrolyted right on up for this game, because, I mean, we kind of heard it from the desk here, Gordo, that tonight is definitely going to be a hell of a banger series. even if it is a 2-0, like a certain Axe connoisseur did predict here, it's going to be a hard-earned 2-0, I feel.
Absolutely. And this 2-0 or this 2-1, whatever the victory ends up coming out for, would mean so much to either one of these organizations. It really is a make or break moment here for both of these teams sitting at 1-1. Both of these teams looking to rise back up to where they were at in 2020, have not yet reached that pinnacle for 2021, did not make proving grounds in spring, did not make top 8 at Cup a couple of weeks ago, but this time one of them is going to make top 8, the other one is not, and it's going to be entirely decided by this matchup right here.
Yeah, because I mean, that is just the nature of this 3-round best Robin here for this regular season. There's not a lot of room for error, and one upset of a series can net you that big ticket spot, or maybe it can kick you out. We could argue that the Maryville result from last week, I believe you're casting with me on that one, Gordo, where they actually 2-0'd the wildcard red main roster, considered by many an upset, and that's put them in primo position here. We'll see if they're able to carry on with that momentum here coming into playoffs potentially, because we saw that both these teams, you mentioned it yourself, have not had the best start to 2021 that they may have wanted, despite how historical we know these teams are, how excellent their 2020 seasons were. Maybe playing a bit of a long con this year around, Gordo, trying to farm up that talent and, mine away at some prospects here.
Yeah, absolutely here. And that 2-0 upset by Maryville last week, I'm right up there with everybody in calling it an upset. But there's a lot of questions surrounding it. Was that just growing pains with Brandini in the top lane, or was it really a new leaf being turned over here by Maryville with all of their 5 players really coming together in synergy, all having a great performance? Wasn't really a solo carry out of anybody in that matchup. That still remains to be seen, because they couldn't really repeat that high level performance up against Wildcard Black. They were able to challenge them here and there. They were able to make it a close series, but that sister team of the champions of Cup that they did manage to take down, they were able to strike back against Maryville to take them to this 1-1 record. So really remains to be seen here if they can prove themselves up against 100 Thieves next and secure themselves a spot in the playoffs.
Because this game number 1 is definitely going to be quite the tone setter for this series. You can say that for every single series, really, but when we're talking about a potential playoff spot here, nerves might just be a little bit higher than usual. However, we are going to be jumping right into draft. I love this immediate ban from 100x. Take that Nocturne off the board, who I'm gonna argue is kind of overpowered right now this patch, although you could argue since they are blue side, they can make the red side ban and grab them themselves. But hey, to each their own, and we are just going to be flying through these bans elsewhere, though, Gordo.
Yeah, absolutely. We are on 11-13 here, so I very much do not expect to see that Nocturne coming on through here. The new Stride Breaker really has made him a force to be reckoned with. Also, really hyped to see that Thresh ban if you're a 100 Thieves supporter there, as Shady's Thresh is absolutely cracked, has been a huge performer all throughout this tournament thus far. A lot of really important bans coming through for both sides here on things they've already seen success with. But it's going to be the first pick Lee Sin here for 100 Thieves next. They could take that for Gamsu, could take that for Young.
Yeah, because I do know. Okay, there's the Ziggs. Okay, because Ziggs has jumped up majorly in priority this patch, or well, starting last patch and coming into this patch as well. And I'm glad that Maryville's starting to pick up on it. The Lee Sin, though, I do know that 100x have been playing it frequently, especially for Gamsu in the top lane. Like you mentioned, Gordo, it's just I have a bit of bias against Lee Sin when I see him in these solo lanes, because I haven't really been amazed by many of them so far. Of course, though, Lee Sin, Gwen, and Sejuani, these are going to be some very nasty solo lanes here from 100x that can set up this jungler, and they can look to really snowball these potential just absolute death wrecking balls for split pushing in the side lanes.
And this is a new look for 100 Thieves next here, locking in the Gwen and Sejuani. Going to be, I believe, the first game of the tournament on Gwen for Gamsu, presumably up in the top lane, or for Young in the mid lane. And this Sejuani pick, it's not what you think of when you think of Chad. Usually you think he's a lot more what you would expect from his name here. He's an aggressive jungler. He's played Kha'Zix already this tournament. He's played some Kha'Zix, or some Karthus, rather. He really wants to be that kind of aggressive carry jungler. But this time, gonna be running it with this tank Sejuani, you gotta believe.
Yeah, of course, though. I mean, he is picking it here with these two melee solo laners. The fact that we've been seeing more and more melee solo laners rise to prominence in the meta over the past 2 or 3 months, I want to say it is, has been helping the Sejuani come back into the meta due to her permafrost. Being able to proc so much more easily if you do have those melees in the solo lanes. Of course, though, that does mean we have bot lane up for grabs on both sides here potentially. If that is a Ziggs mid lane, can be a Ziggs bot lane though, because he is a ferocious bot laner as well, Gordo, and flex picks just don't ever really end, it seems.
Yeah, and I almost expect to see Azog taking up the Ziggs here in the bottom lane. Feel like that's where it's been a more prized pick as of late. And presumably Maryville's going to take their support here as well, although it might be considering a little bit of value to take a solo laner here, save the support for later, make 100 Thieves next, commit to what their bot lane is going to be. But the Rakan now being hovered here for Shady. It is going to be locked on in, so some hard engage there from the support position for Maryville. Now 100 Thieves next, they can assume they're up against Ziggs Rakan, although there could still be an 80 carry locked in. What do Instinct and Buzio want to play into that?
It definitely is a bit of a hard question since they did save their bot lane for the second part of draft. You have two of the big 80 carries in the meta right now. The Ezreal and Kalista already taken off the board. The Ziggs has already been picked up, and you're not entirely sure. The Kai'Sa here definitely falling back on comfort, and you do have good setup for the Kai'Sa since Lee Sin, Sejuani, definitely great champions to propel this Kai'Sa to get into the backline, potentially assassinate the Ziggs, maybe assassinate the Rakan. I want to see what support this Kai'Sa is picked with, though, because one of the big things about Ziggs bot lane is that he kind of outranges the Kai'Sa by quite a bit. You out-wave clear the Kai'Sa. You will spike earlier than the Kai'Sa, thanks to the buffs to the costs on the AP itemization this patch, as well as Lost Chapter, just giving you that dummy wave clear more or less. But it is going to be paired up with the Alistar, which is a classic bread and butter combo. Silas being hovered here for Maryville is telling me Ziggs bot lane, and I kind of like that here because as casters, Gordo, whenever we see that Silas locked in, we have to do a run by of each and every ultimate he can steal, it feels like.
Yeah, we definitely do here, and one I always want to keep my eye on is that Alistar on the other team. Silas, you can get your pick of the litter for big AoE CC ultimates or big damage ultimates, things like the Lee Sin ult, things like the Sejuani ult, that just give you more burst potential on this assassin-y Silas. But things like Unbreakable Will, they're a little bit more in short supply, but are incredibly valuable for a Silas to be able to pop that Alistar ultimate in the middle of a fight and become such a big tanky beast in the middle of a team fight while still pumping out all the damage that you've built on Silas. That's immensely valuable and a great option to have on that mid laner.
Yes. It does mean, though, that Maryville will be extremely heavily Ziggs reliant when it does come to wave clear. And if Maryville does have to play on the back foot, take a siege, especially if there happens to be a Baron buff on the enemy team, it can get a little bit rougher because Ziggs does hate Baron buffed minions. However, though, you can kind of say about the 100x team as well, since, I mean, 100x composition is extremely low range now that I'm just taking a quick peep at it here, Gordo. Like, there's definitely going to be a lot of in-your-face gaming this match and a lot of action.
Yeah, definitely is going to be. They got some great engage tools there, though, with the Sejuani, with the Kai'Sa, who's going to be able to kill her instinct right in, along with the 4 melees she's got on her team there to keep this fight going. And, you know, even though Chad's not on that aggressive jungler, like we were saying, the jungle matchup is really one we're going to want to keep a close eye on here. There should be so much potential, like you said, for this Sejuani to get off some great ganks in the early game. But on the other side, Olaf is a massive carry threat, can really snowball away with the game, super good at clearing early on and coming out for some early ganks in his own right. So I want to see what Odd Orange is going to be able to accomplish there on the Berserker in the jungle as well.
Yeah, because Olaf definitely is a little bit towards the side of feast or famine. I won't say he's completely tipped into that area where you have to get like 2 to 3 kills early or you're not a champion, but Olaf does have a propensity to like to snowball. He likes to get that lead so he can have the level advantage on you, so he can have the item advantage on you, so he can just get some of those extra attack damage stats that he really wants to help shred through enemy tanks and bruisers while also getting some of that health and a little bit of resistances here and there. So he can also tank that as well, since you do kind of have to run straight into the enemy team when you are that Olaf with that Ragnarok. Sure, you are able to get out of any potential Sejuani ultimates. Sure, you don't have to worry about the Lee Sin insecting you or the Alistar doing his little moo combo on you, but there's still plenty of damage that you're going to have to run the gauntlet through, and Auto Orange will have to look to snowball just a little bit this game.
Absolutely here. And speaking of snowballing, want to keep an eye on that top lane and how the matchup is going to go between Gamsu and Chippies. Both of these guys, super experienced professional top laners. Gamsu, as they said, coming back from Overwatch as of late, but has been, in the esports life that entire time. Chippies coming over to Maryville from OCE, doing very much the same. And on these champion picks as well, the Gwen for Gamsu, his first of the tournament, his first of the Proving Grounds circuit, as far as I know. And really going to be a different look here for the 100 Thieves. They do not usually play to these carry top laners. Gamsu's played a lot of Ornn already this season, a lot of Renekton, a lot of just kind of sitting up there on a big meatball. Now going to be really empowered with this Gwen pick. Really excited to see what he's going to be able to accomplish on this one up against Chippies on the Renekton.
Yeah, because Gwen can do some insanely stupid things if you do get that Gwen ahead. However, though, if we do see Gamsu go for that more weak side play style, even though he is on the Gwen, that might have some repercussions here, Gordo. Because we all know that a play style change is always one of the harder things to change about yourself in League of Legends. But that's one of those things we'll just have to see once we're on the Rift, because, like you said, this is a new face for 100x with this sort of draft they've picked.
We'll get to see that new face in just a couple of moments here. We are going to throw it to a quick break while we get loaded on up onto the Rift for game number 1, but do not go anywhere. We are going to be right back with game numero uno of 100 Thieves next up against Maryville University. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Risen Champions League. Final day of group stages here for 100 Thieves X coming up against Maryville University, where the winner is going to guarantee themselves a slot in the playoffs, and the loser is going to have to go home with no such luck.
Yep, and I do like that early cheeky word from Shady there. I mean, we're seeing both these supports do a similar thing where they do the trick, drop a ward level 1 immediately back by an Oracle Lens, and you got a free ward. However, though, with this deep ward that Shady placed against Chad Jungle, I mean, we're talking about it. Chad Jungle, known for how he can dictate the pace of the game here, 400x, even if he is on the Sejuani, not the biggest carry jungler, which we've kind of been accustomed to. Just for a jungler like Olaf, who is very, very heavy on the early game tempo, likes to know where the enemy jungler is so he can counter that, outfarm them, outpace them here, Gordo. Hey, having that early ward on that red buff, gonna be very nice. Even if you did lose it there and won't see where Chad Jungle paths to after this, you do at least know for certain right now this Sejuani starting bot side, and it means here, look at Azog, look at Shady. They're able to start off with a little bit of a potential cheese in this brush. I don't think it's going to be massive kill threat, but they can do a little cheeky Nando damage here as, no?
Or they could miss the bouncing bomb, and then Buzio's just going to go in aggressively there, flashing early to get the pulverize, to chunk Shady down to about half HP. It's going to be a summoner spell advantage for the side of Maryville, but the health bar advantage certain to be in the side of 100 Thieves next. Or other way around.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those situations where you're like, yes, I'm prepping for this, I know it's going to happen, and then something else completely different happens, and you're like, all right, I need an extra second to process this, because I was kind of expecting there to just be a little cheeky trade of damage there, but something else definitely happens. We'll see if it lets Bucio and Instinct get the level 2 here first. It does mean that, which is always so crucial in an Alistar lane. You love getting access to your little headbutt pulverize combo as soon as possible, as it makes you that much more threatening when it comes to all-ins and trades.
It definitely does, and now Azog going to find himself engaged on here by Buzio. A nice dodge there on the grand entrance, going to keep this Alistar pretty safe. It means that Instinct can go for another aggressive trade there with the Plasma up against Azog Ziggs. The health bars still coming out pretty much in favor of 100 Thieves next, but the pots are being chugged by the side of Maryville. They shouldn't be forced out of lane or anything like that off of this play, but still, you can see the aggression coming through from the 100 Thieves next bot lane. They really do love to play through this lane, and they see an opportunity here up against the Ziggs Recon to get an early advantage, and they're really trying their best to make it happen.
Yeah, and it all started off with that level 1 play where usually when you see that, you're like, okay, we'll take this damage, walk away, and maybe threaten something in return, but Bucio going for the immediate flash, and now looking for a roam in the mid lane. Spyrax does have flash, but has basically next to no mana, even after that Biscuit consumption, which is going to be a bit of an issue here if he's having to constantly trade abilities with Young in this mid lane, energy versus mana, yada, yada, yada. Either way, though, still, I like this early action coming out from Bucio to dictate the pace of the lane here. Look to dictate the pace of other lanes as well here, Gordo, because, hey, you want to get off to your best foot here in a very crucial series.
Absolutely do want to here. Going to be one scuttler going down for each jungler here. We can see Chad looking to make something happen in the mid lane here. Spyrax is pushed up a little bit far, is crucially saving that E. He is going to W in, though. That's going to be the advantage. Coming on in, Chad going to flash on in, trying to get the slow onto Spyrax, but it's going to be matched with Spyrax's flash of his own. It's just going to be that trade in the mid lane. Nobody going to end up going down, but that pressure going to force Spyrax here, expected to take a recall.
Yeah. Thankfully for Spyrax, oh, never mind. Okay, a little bit of scuffle in the bot lane. But thankfully for Spyrax, the wave isn't in a gigabed position. Oh, hold that thought, because Scourge is going to get the flashed on.
Yeah, Gamsu really under a lot of pressure here. He doesn't have anywhere left to go. Does not have flash on that Gwen, so is going to go down to first blood to Odd Orange. A nice start there for the Maryville jungler. That a nice interrupt in the bot lane from Buzio onto Shady. Plays going back and forth in the bot lane the whole way through, but no kills have gone down. The kills are only in the top lane and only end up going towards this Olaf.
That is a good pickup in the top lane, though, because we have been seeing Gamsu just kind of consistently in this lane. Every time that little skip and slash is up, he goes on in. You just keep using that little snip, snip, snip.
Oh, Spyrax just pulling Young under the turret there with the abscond, going to force him to follow him all the way under there and pick up the solo kill up against Young. An excellent start for the Maryville mid laner and a disaster for 100 Thieves.
God. That was such a cheeky Nanda play there from Spyrax, like, because Young is like, yes, I'm winning the trades here. I'll just go in on this resonating strike, get this free trade right on in and win it. But Spyrax with the 200 IQ, 5D chess brain, whatever sort of terminology and buzzwords to say I'm a good player we want to throw at it. Really great heads up play there by him to get a kill as the Silas, who has been a little bit on the back foot in this lane. Does mean he'll be able to complete that lost chapter much sooner, be able to contest with the relative ability spammage coming from Young. Never mind that, because Spyrax is looking here, because Shady in the mid lane, Odd Orange
dodges out on the abduct, but Odd Orange coming on there with the undertows. Young going to be forced back a little bit, but not going to have to expend the flash, not going to have to expend the ultimate. Does have Guzio here for the backup, but this is not a 2v3 they're interested in taking. They're going to have to call for more backup. They don't want to get this big wave crashed on in, but too little too late here. They're going to crash the wave, and they're going to start moving towards the bottom side.
Yep. Of course, the dragon had already been taken by 100 next, just a few moments ago. So it's not like they can transition that into that early game objective. The Rift Herald is not up just quite yet. It will just be that pressure in the mid lane, a little bit of pressure here in the enemy jungle as we see that deep control ward, which I do really like. Deep control wards early in the game in the enemy's jungle is just always such a great thing to have when it comes to these comp 5 versus 5 fights, Gordo, because when you know where the enemy jungler is, it makes your life a lot easier when you want to go for any plays in a lane or any ganks of your own here if your name happens to be Odd Orange. But talk about caster curses, Busio just going to cow punch that one on away.
Yeah, does find it there. Is going to have to leave Instinct alone for a short bit, but Instinct, he knows his limits. He doesn't step too close to the Rakan there. Doesn't want to risk getting engaged on or anything of the sort. Now he's got his cow back. He's going to be able to catch this wave, but that's going to unlock Shady to go for a roam of his own. Want to keep an eye on that in this mid lane where Chad is looking to make a play happen, but has been spotted out by a control ward.
Yeah. Shady's just here as a, yo, please stay off my homies for a bit here. Just one of those casual roams on up from Shady. Like, he knows by showing his face there, like, yes, I'm not going to get a kill, but it's going to help my boy here, Spyrax, not get killed himself, which is always nice. It means Spyrax right now being able to push on in this lane. I'm going to take a quick look at the gold here. I believe that, oh wait, I'm a fool. He already has the lost chapter. I was looking at Azog's inventory, like, he should have enough for the lost chapter this back. Wrong agent carry. Either way, though, tempo, it's always a good thing to have.
Absolutely is here, and usage tempo we can see from Odd Orange there in the top side. He is looking to take down that Rift Herald. Shady gonna be forced to flash there as the headbutt does come on in from the side of Uzio. A nice catch there by the 100 Thieves bottom lane. They do manage to force another resource out of the opposing bottom lane. With no Hex Flash on that Rakan too, going to be no summoner available on Shady for quite a while now.
Shady has to be careful here, because Chad is right here.
Yeah, he's locking on down on
they gotta
Instinct,
get this
going
quick.
to guarantee Mega Inferno Bomb, but now Instinct just has been able to escape
not
the
gonna
short
get
HP.
Instinct.
Now Chad gonna try to finish off onto Azog or
There's no
Shady here.
teleport.
Azog certainly not long for this world. The Sejuani gonna be able to pick up a kill there. No more damage though from Instinct. The cow and the board not do too much damage together, so Shady's gonna be able to just wander on out of there, flash or no flash. Still gonna be a 1 for 0. 400 Thieves in the bottom lane.
Yeah, great there by Chad Jungle. It's gonna force Azog to TP here. Shady might just pull off the cheeky play here. I don't think he has enough to kill, but he can keep Instinct around to die from a certain Ziggs.
Yeah, there goes the bouncing bomb. A nice dodge there from Instinct, but he really has very few places left to go. Azog gonna finish that one off with the satchel charge, claim a kill right back that he just gave up. He's gonna go back to farming on out in this bottom lane, gonna look to equalize the CS as well. And just like that, 100 Thieves, you know, they had a hope in the bottom lane there to start getting ahead in the game, and it gets taken right back by Azog and Shady off of a nice punish on a push recall.
Yep, Shady just being an absolute cheeky fellow this game, it seems, with how much of a pain he has been so far. And most important to know is that from that 100x gank in the bot lane, the kill did go over to Chad. Instinct did only get an assist as this Kaisa, which means it's not going to be propelling this Kaisa as hard, but we'll see how it does shape up here, because these bot laners still on very even footing when it comes to pure gold. Shady could look in the mid lane here. I think this is another one of those just howdy hoes to any neighbors here, but should look out for some action.
Yeah, the Rift Herald going to be thrown on down in this mid lane. Going to look to cash out on a couple of plates, 2 of which have already been taken down there. It's going to claim at least 2 more, and that's going to be the satchel charge for the execute. First turret gets claimed for Maryville in the mid lane. That's the power of this Ziggs. You can really get the turrets so much earlier there, right through those turret plates. It is just pure execute damage, does not care about the bonus resistances that the turrets do get on the later plates. That's going to be a big gold swing there, propelling Maryville even further ahead once they are actually able to go and spend that on some items.
If they do want to go for the immediate back here, it does mean, though, they would secede control over this dragon, though, which might not be the best idea. It would be giving over a second one to 100 next. When you already have this dominant lead here as Maryville, you can look to just kind of keep it up here with the way things have been going. Chad Jungle about towards half health here in this pit. Does have the ulti. Maryville is looking for a bit of a fight, though. Look for the Mega Inferno Bomb. There's the quickness.
Here comes Gamsu teleporting on in. Buzio going to look to lock everybody down. This dragon has already been stolen away by the side of Odd Orange. Here comes Gamsu going in onto Spyrax there, but he's already stolen away. The Unbreakable Will is already far too tanky for those scissors to touch there. That means it's going to be a free dragon steal for the side of Maryville. They waltz on out of there like nothing happened, and they don't even expend a teleport for it.
Yeah, nobody died, like, because they had to run into that pit to contest. And they just get on out. It does help that Odd Orange did have the Ragnarok, and Spyrax did have that stolen Unbreakable Will. Oh, Odd Orange might be in a little bit of danger here, or might be the danger himself. We'll see if Gansu is collapsed upon here. Should be fine, though. Does have that inner turret to keep him on safe here from any potential axis.
Yeah, Chippies has gotten a lot of alone time up here with this turret, though, threatening to take it down in another wave or two here. 100 Thieves have called up several members to cover here, but Odd Orange is already there. Chippies is well aware of everything that's going down here. He's got the double dash. He's got the flash. He's not really under any pressure right now. And 100 Thieves next, they still just can't seem to find a way to make something happen in this game.
Of course, though, they do always have that scaling threat here on Instinct. They do always have this absolutely explosive team fight, to say the least here. Like, you have some of the easiest backline access possible for this Kaisa. You have some of the best tools for just kind of finding someone on the enemy team and blowing them up here. So 100x definitely not out of this entirely quite yet, Gordo, but they'll want to make things, you know, shift a little bit more in their favor here soon, I feel.
Yeah, they definitely are going to here. A pattern we've really seen emerge from 100 Thieves Next over these last couple of Tier 2 tournaments has been they're very aggressive early game, and they can often get themselves these leads and then progress through the game. But if they don't get that early lead, they sometimes seem a little bit lost. They don't exactly know where to go next to get themselves back into the game, and I'm worried we might be seeing a little bit of that here, as they're down almost 4k gold, in fact over 4k gold now at 14 minutes into the game, and they're not showing any signs of coming back in as of yet. Young might get collapsed on here, gonna have to move back towards Chad.
Does have a cavalry, though, so if a fight does break out, this would be 3 versus 3, and one of these 3 squads is slightly more powerful right now. Where's our little heart sometimes? Either way, though, Maryville just kind of roaming as a squad here to assert dominance over the map. Like, look at this vision in the enemy jungle from Maryville. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wards just in this 100 next jungle. They are not letting 100x pull anything fishy on them, Gordo, because Maryville knows they're in the driver's seat and they don't want to have to deal with any bumps in the road.
They certainly do not here, and it looks like it's smooth sailing ahead for now. So there just are not any opportunities as of yet for 100 Thieves Next to try to strike back here. They're moving on up towards this Rift Herald, but already Odd Orange is waiting, Shady is waiting, Spyrax is there, Azog is wave clearing in the mid lane. Not really the first ones here, and so can't really be the first ones in. Gonna have to just back on away. The Scuttle gonna go over towards the side of Maryville. They have control over this top river, even though all 5 members of 100 Thieves Next are here. They can't feel safe walking up to contest, so despite sending all 5 men up to the top lane, 100 Thieves not gonna have too many options. They are gonna try to force their way in here through the blue ramp. So far, it's not found their instinct.
Range, though.
Okay, there's the engagement. They're gonna go in with the headbutt pulverize, trying to pick up on anybody, but Young already gonna get melted down in an instant. Chad Jungle going to fall as well. They do manage to trade back on Orange, but it's at the cost of 2 more members. 4 for 1 here thus far. Instinct was never able to find an angle into the fight. Now he's trying to escape, but Spyrax is right on top of him. He's gonna pick that one up with the Kingslayer as well, and that is gonna be the ace for just 1 kill picked up for the side of Maryville.
And 100 Next, I respect them for knowing, like, yes, we're in the hole here, we're on the back foot, you have to make something happen, but they missed a couple crucial abilities there. One of those crucial abilities was Instinct being able to participate in that fight, because we saw that explosive start to the fight, the miss from Chad Jungle's ultimate, 100 Busio just going in, knocking up 3-ish members, but there isn't really any damage to follow up. And there's nothing to tank the follow-up damage from Maryville, Gordo. Like, you're going into this Fed Silas, you're going into 2 Gore Drinkers, and when you're going into 2 Gore Drinkers as this Goon Squad comp, more or less, from 100 Next, that's going to be maximizing quite a bit of the heal from the Odd Orange and Chippy's actives here on their Mythics. And this game probably more or less over for the side of 100 Next, which is a little bit... feels bad to call this early on in, but it's a massive gold lead. We can feel how the game's going, Gordo, and it might just be a look towards game 2 situation.
Yeah, it's looking a lot like that, for Eno, is there's already such a nice advantage gained here by all the key members on the side of Maryville. They've done a lot to shut down this Gwen, who really could have been the carry threat, done a lot to shut down the Kaisa. It all just means it's going to be favoring Maryville here for the foreseeable future. Going to get another charge here off of this Herald. They're going to execute down on the turret with their Ziggs. They've cracked open the inhibitor already, and now Young getting jumped on. He's going to get one shot there with the Mega Inferno Bomb. Another charge from the Rift Herald to pick up onto this inhibitor, and that's a 17-minute bot lane inhibitor picked up for the side of Maryville University.
That is one of the biggest strengths of the Ziggs right now after the buffs, which made him a pretty strong pick. And if you're able to... Never mind that, because that's just a big ulti. There's the quickness, and he's dead.
Yeah, it's a stolen away Glacial Prison from the side of Spyrax. Just catches Instinct sleeping there, and they pick him up pretty easily. Turret damage going to end up taking out Azog, but he's willing to sacrifice that for another inhibitor here. Mid turret going to go on down. Mid inhibitor soon to follow, and prior to 20 minutes, the 100 Thieves Next are going to lose 2 inhibitors in their base, and looks like our favorite Axe fan might have had a bit of a point here, as Maryville University are just stomping this game number 1.
Yeah, maybe Axeman paid off the Risen scriptwriters to get the perfect prediction here. Who knows, but he's definitely feeling happy. He's probably going to be dropping an axe emoji or 2 in the chat here, as it is all but over right now. It's just up to Maryville to carry out the due diligences, just follow the basic steps here of Macro 101 to end out the game. There's no Baron quite yet, but we already see the pings in the top lane because there's nowhere else to go.
Ellie is not, and they're going to be forced to their base for a considerable period of time here off of these 2 inhibitor takes, and with the Baron spawning in just about a minute, it's going to represent a major issue for the side of 100 Thieves. These are not the inhibitors you wanted to lose when you've got a Baron to contest fairly soon. But they're going to be struggling to contest it in the first place, so might end up just having to cede that one away and hoping to take a low percentage fight in their own base later on.
Yeah, it's a very large uphill battle. Like, we just saw the Kraken Slayer finish here for Instinct. This what feels like kind of late into the game, because Azog, mildly accelerated, already has the Death Cap and Ludens. Can kind of just nuke everybody, more or less, on this 100 Next composition. Like, I feel like 100 Next, like, they definitely tried their early game shenanigans. They tried to get off to that early lead, but Maryville kind of knew what was happening as Busio.
Yeah, going in for the engage once again, gonna have to pop the Unbreakable Will to stay alive, but the rest of his team, they don't have that resource, and they're gonna get melted through in an instant by Spyrex and Chippies there. The spinning damage from the Renekton, from the Silos, gonna be more than enough to clean up 4 members of 100 Thieves next in their own base. That's gonna be the 3rd inhibitor claimed for Maryville, and that's gotta be game number 1 here, taken in just a little bit over 20 minutes.
Yeah, very fast. I thought this would be a much closer game number 1, but Maryville, they are a collegiate team, so probably making their players do the homework here, making their staff do the homework on what they need to do to stifle any sort of aggression coming up from 100X, because it feels like outside of that one great gank in the bot lane by Chad Jungle, that 100X wasn't really able to get anything to go their way to dictate anything about when and how this game shaped up here, Gordo, throughout the entirety of that game, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give big credit over to Odd Orange holding it down in the jungle. There is massive kill participation along with Spyrex. They were just able to get their leads early on, and they just never let go of them the whole way through. But heard plenty of Gopherinos and I's opinions already on the game. Let's throw it over to our analyst desk here, see what they have to say about that match that just completed here.
Welcome back here, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary friends here. After that game number 1 between 100 Thieves X and Maryville, and you know, Axeman, you are my friend. I love casting and working with you, but oh my goodness, you are never gonna let us forget about the 20-minute Maryville stomp.
Not a chance. I missed it by 39 seconds, Joker, but stick with me, buddy. I'll take you to the promised land. We'll get there eventually. And yeah, it was a fantastic game. I'm just gonna go ahead and take it from here. I guess I don't. It all started a bit like what I had suggested it would. Odd Orange popping up topside with Chippies, taking down Gamsu on first blood. Fantastic play there, by the way, and it was almost so. First clear for Olaf, your Krugs are coming back up at like 4 minutes 15 seconds, right? That first gank comes off at about 4 minutes 20. I feel like Gamsu, you have to be expecting at least Olaf to be there, right? Because you're going uncontested Sejuani top on that scuttle. That means Olaf has to be bot side, has to have started top side, has to be up on that side of the map for that period. You all in this Renekton. To me, that says I'm trying to 1v2 a Renekton Olaf. And no, that's just not going to work, right? Odd Orange builds the advantage out from there. And Chippies, by the way, fantastic lane, right? I mean, you could tell just from the start, this is not a good matchup for the Renekton. It just didn't matter. It was just a Chippies dip.
No, and that was actually something that we had talked about here during the game was this early draft, the Lee Sin Gwen pick here to start off by 100 Thieves next. So, Mystic, we talked a lot about what we would have liked to seen 100X do in terms of their draft phase, their jungle phase. You talked here before game number 1 about the style of play that Chad Jungle brings to the table. And then, we talked in game, he likes to bring the chaoticness. He likes to bring the early aggression. And for, whatever reason, 100X, they decided to put him on a jungler who needs to farm until 6 and can't affect the early game.
Yeah, it was pretty mind-boggling to me, especially when you pick the Lee Sin B1. You pick that because you have the flexibility. You can send it mid, you can send it top, you can send it jungle. So for after we see the Renekton Ziggs come in and they take the Gwen, in my mind, you should just opt to putting that jungle then. Because you don't have counter, you don't know what they're going to pick mid, you don't know if it's going to be a good matchup. So in my mind, just forget about the flex, just run it jungle and cut your losses in a sense. And like you guys said, the Sejuani pick made it so that Chad Jungle can't play the style he likes to play. He likes to get his hands dirty early. He likes to make things chaotic. He likes to build leads as quick as he can for the side of 100X. And when you're picking Sejuani, you're straying away from that. And you never want to stray away from something your core players do well. And from what we've seen so far, Chad Jungle has been the core player for 100x. So it's just a little bit confusing to me why they opted for that when it's a farm till 6 style jungler, and it just gave Odd Orange all the time he needed to build his own advantages across the map.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's speaking of Odd Orange and his advantages that he had throughout the map. We saw exactly what 100 Thieves next drafted themselves into, a very low damage early on composition where they couldn't fight. And we saw that in that first dragon play where Odd Orange literally Ragnaroks, walks in, smites the dragon. 100x have the chance to take the fight. They don't take it. And Odd Orange just walks himself right back on out. Free dragon for Maryville. And then Chippies, meanwhile, doesn't even bother to teleport into the play. He just takes 4 free plates on the top side, completely negating any kind of advantage that Gamsu might have had at that point up in the top lane. And that was just, we talked about that. Just the advantages that Maryville had sweeping through and the lack of damage 100 Thieves next had. So, Axe, what do you're on the Maryville train. You've been on the Maryville train. We heard.
I'm the
So,
conductor.
what the conductor of the train, all aboard. So, Conductor Axe, where are you leading us? What do you want to see from Maryville in game 2 to continue the dominance and continue that play style and get themselves into playoffs?
So I just want to start with, I know insiders are probably screaming at their monitors right now. Axeman, you are underselling this Maryville roster, and I know I have very limited time. I'm saying they're winning through Odd Orange, and it's very true, but so much is happening around the rest of the map for Maryville. Solo kill early from Spyrax. The Ziggs pick for Azog, allowing them to end this game quicker by destroying those turrets. Shady playing like a madman. Sometimes going so far in, he ran past the enemy backline and didn't hit them with that W. It was crazy. Maryville just had an absolutely just a perfect game 1 here. But I think for game 2, to answer your question, it's going to be something similar. There are going to be a little bit different champions here, as I'm expecting the bans to adapt for 100 next, but it's going to look a lot the same. I don't think that they're going to play Silas in the mid lane this time around. I don't think that's really going to matter for Spyrax, though. I would be surprised if they get Ziggs this game, because despite Odd Orange having a great game on the Olaf, that Ziggs really did accelerate this game so much, right? Being able to destroy those turrets. So I think at least those parts of this team are going to be a little bit different. But other than that, it's still going to be a crazy kind of psychopath early game, high octane play style from Maryville.
All right. Meanwhile, Mystic, what do you want to see from 100 Thieves next? You said that they're going to win 2-0 or 2-1 coming back after game number 1 and taking the reverse sweep. So what changes do you want to see them make? We talked on some jungle changes, but what else do you think they need to do in order to take game number 2 and force that final game?
Just to correct something real quick, I think I said Maryville with the reverse sweep, but we'll run with it. We'll run with it. But but
Can we get a clip? Can we get a rollback on that?
Yeah,
by the way,
can we get a clip? Can we get a clip playing?
Yeah.
I just need some clarification on that.
Sure,
But
sure. But
yeah.
continue.
All right, but okay. So if I'm 100x, okay, we no longer have the element of surprise as far as coming out, hitting them in the mouth, hoping they don't adapt. So what do? We just go back to our old playstyle. We go back to what has worked. We put Chad on something where he can muck up the early game, make it dirty, make it chaotic, and hope that the switch over from Maryville having complete control in game 1, and we can come out, make it dirty, show that we can hang with them, sort of throws off Maryville a little bit here in game 2. You look to just roll the game over and then carry your momentum into game 3. I need an early game jungler for Chad Jungle. I need something a little bit more aggressive and winning for mid bot. Not saying Gamsu has to be put on a carry, but I need a winning lane somewhere for them to play through early. And aside from that, that's all they can really hope for, because again, you've lost that element of surprise of coming out, hitting Maryville in the teeth, and hoping that's your plan. So now you just go back to what worked for you previously and rely on what you've worked on to this point.
All right, some changes here for 100 Thieves next. Hit them early and get that craziness, get that chaoticness in the early game. We'll see if 100 Thieves X can do that and force a game number 3. Maryville going to take that 2-0 like our Prediction God Axeman87 said we'll have to see. So, Go Farino, Gordo, take it away here for game number 2, as it looks like we're just about ready to jump into draft.
Speaking of the devil.
Welcome back, everybody. We're back here at the caster's desk, and thank you very much to our analyst desk for their opinions here. Got to agree there that it's a return to your roots look now for 100 Thieves next, sitting here on the red side. Want to see Chad on something other than the Sejuani, and you don't even have to go for something crazy aggressive. You don't have to show us the Kazakhs again. You could just go for something like a Rumble, like a Nidalee, and play your aggressive style, because that's what's gotten you to this 1-1 record in the first place.
Just make the magic happen. You don't have to full commit to it. Still, though, I mean, will it be enough, though? Because it definitely felt a lot like Maryville just kind of knew their opponents very, very well going into game number 1. But game number 2's draft is starting here, Gordo. So we're going to have to see what the adaptions are, since there has been a side swap here. Maryville going to be rocking that blue side here. See how 100X wants to respond to this, as a couple familiar faces so far here on the ban board. Of course, the Renekton was on the pick board and not the ban board, but still a familiar face to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely here. Not going to see too much of a change from the Maryville side. The Xin Zhao ban coming through once again. The set ban. Renekton, though, going to be a little bit of a new one. Maryville picked that up for their side last time. Now we're going to be banning it away on the red, and that's because they want to use their first pick on this Akali, baby. Got to expect that's going to be for Spyrex in the mid lane. He's had some great pop-off performances on that assassin already this split. Now he's going to be taking it into this game number 2.
Yeah, that's a bit of a specialty pick here for Spyrex in the mid lane. Of course, it could be going to Chippies in the top lane. It is another one of those potent flex picks, and 100 next. They did definitely expect this. They definitely prepared for this, because they knew this had to be an inevitable sort of pick, as the immediate Lee Sin Thresh responses here gonna be very nice for them. Have that potent flex pick in that Lee Sin. Have that Thresh who's just, even though you know he's going to support, his playstyle is just so flexible. Is he going to be that pick sort of support? Is he just going to be throw the lantern out sort of support? Hey, you got a lot of options here.
Yeah, and I definitely think you need to pick away that Thresh from the side of Shady. He is a menace on that champion there. So good lock in for the side of 100 Thieves next. Well, it's going to be the Kalista now, locked in for the side of Maryville, challenging whatever this Thresh lane is going to be. Varus being hovered and is going to be locked in here. And we got our bot lanes figured out. We've got at least one solo lane figured out for either team, but curious to see where the draft goes from here. 100 Thieves next. They've been on that Galio tech up against the Akali. Definitely seen it a couple of times already. Might be the look for it here to pair up with that Lee Sin.
Potentially, yeah. Because the Lee Sin would at least give you a route into fights with your heroic entrance, if that is the case. However, though, we'll have to see if that is the answer, as we haven't really been seeing solo lane Galio as much over these past few patches. With now jungle is going to be up on the chopping block here, is immediately taking away 2 junglers here. I like the Karthus ban coming up from Maryville, because even though Karthus is a little bit on the more fringe side of the meta, he's a little bit more of a specific sort of pick him in specific situations. Well, his Maryville composition would kind of absolutely hate going into that. So great ban by them. We'll see what the next ban is here as well, if they want to try and limit this jungle. Okay. I mean, we had our disagreements about the Sejuani. The analyst desk had their disagreements about the Sejuani, but Maryville, they have some qualms, but they also have some respect here, Gordo.
Yeah, they got their disagreements about the Sejuani too. You know, they're right there along with us, and they're saying we do not want to see that one in this next game. So, gonna be banned away there. Twisted Fate going to be the lock-in for 100 Thieves now. A little bit of a different look for Young coming on in here. That means they're going to save their jungle pick for last, or potentially throw the Lee Sin into the jungle and save last pick for a top counter pick. Nonetheless, going to be nice. Ooh, that is going to be the Yasuo locked in for Maryville here. A spicy counter to the Twisted Fate to wind wall away the gold card, and they're going to lock in the Diana jungle to boot. Odd Orange had a huge pop-off game on this last week, and now is going to be bringing it back here, flanked by 2 incredibly skill-intensive solo laners in the Yasuo and the Akali.
That is one way of putting it because, well, Maryville just kind of taken away 100X's composition from last game. They have this very short range composition. They have this insanely snowbally deathball composition that wants to make or break a team fight in the first 2 to 5 seconds of whatever the hell is going to break out here on the Rift. And they're going to either do it or die trying here, Gordo.
You certainly are here. And now a lot of flexibility now coming in between both of these teams. The Akali and the Yasuo presumably can both be flexed between mid and top, although you would expect it's probably going to be the Yasuo in the mid lane. And likewise, 100 Thieves next, their top lane jungle situation could be flexed around a little bit as well. One for the Volibear, one for the Lee Sin. Which is which remains to be determined. It's really up to what lane they expect to go up against and what they feel like Gamsu is going to be able to execute better on, facing up against what is certainly going to be a little bit of a non-conventional top laner in like this Akali.
Yep, or it could be also a top lane. We will have to see, but either one of these, the Yasuo or Akali, should match up fairly well into the Twisted Fate in the mid lane. Outside of potentially early Prio going over to this Twisted Fate, who will have that range advantage, will have those wild cards to just continuously poke out these melee laners as well as clear out waves. But you do have insane kill threat against this Twisted Fate, especially once you hit level 6 for both these potential assassins going to the mid lane. Because don't forget, the Odd Orange is going to be on this Diana in the jungle. There is more than enough damage here from this Maryville composition to blow up Young, to blow up Instinct without a sweat or problem in these fights if they are even somewhat close.
Oh yeah, the damage is going to be massive here coming out of the Maryville composition. It's really going to be on 100 Thieves next to be able to find a way to either make a pick or kite it out there. They've got some nice disengage tools in the form of the Thresh Box, in the form of those Chains of Corruption from Varus, in the form of the Dragon's Rage, but they're really going to need to be on point with those abilities to make sure that nobody's getting locked down in the meantime. Nobody's getting hit by stray dredge lines or anything like that, because like you said, they're going to get bursted out incredibly quickly here from this Maryville lineup.
Yep. Quickly is one way of putting it. Of course, though, if the Maryville comp does fall behind, they will have an insanely hard time dealing with any sort of just uninteractive range coming out from this 100 next composition here, Gordo, because they won't be able to match the wave clear. They won't be able to match the poke. They won't be able to match the siege. And they're really kind of banking on just so astronomically gapping you in these team fights when it comes to just pure damage, pure blowing up potential, that if Maryville isn't able to do that, well, we kind of saw what happened to comps like that last game with 100 next, when their comp, very similar to this, kind of fell behind and wasn't really able to muster up much against that Maryville composition.
And it's going to be all my eyes on the bot lane for 100 Thieves next in this game coming on up here. They already love to play through this bottom lane to enable themselves to get these early dragons, and the dives are going to be crazy this game. They've got the Thresh Varus for the lockdown. Twisted Fate's going to be teleporting down under there, and Chad on the Volibear going to be disabling that turret. I really expect Azog and Shady to be the targets of the 100 Thieves next composition for this game, and executing on those plays are going to be super important, because they're not really going to be favored to get these Twisted Fate picks later on in the game where Spyrex might be able to just immune something.
Yeah, if Sparks is able to win well, if Azog is able to use the Fate's Call onto Shady, if they're trying to pick Shady, and then, of course, if Chippies is able to drop the Twilight Shroud and just be more or less untargetable thanks to that invisibility, Young will have to make the magic happen very quickly on this Twisted Fate, because, well, it is going to be a little bit rough in the team fights, like we kind of pointed out.
Yeah, definitely is going to be here. We're going to have to get loaded onto the Rift to find out how this game is going to be executed, but not go anywhere. We are going to be right back after a short break with 100 Thieves next up against Maryville University. We'll see if Maryville are able to close this one out 2-0, or if 100 Thieves next are going to take us to a Game 3 tonight. Welcome back, everybody, to the Risen Champions League matchup between Maryville University and 100 Thieves. Next, these two 1-1 teams both looking to secure a spot in the playoffs today. And Maryville, they're off to the races for getting there with a 1-0 start to this series. One more win here is all it's going to take for this collegiate squad to claim themselves a spot in the Risen Champions League playoffs.
Yep. And they are riding high on the momentum from last game here, since that win was just in over a little over 20 minutes into the game. So not a lot to review on if you happen to be 100 Thieves next. Of course, new game, new you. That is always one of the golden sayings here in League of Legends. We'll see how it shapes up here on the Rift.
Absolutely will here, especially looking at this Twisted Fate pick here from Young, something a little bit more on the fringes of the meta. We saw Fnatic busted out last week over in the LEC, but other than that, can't really think of too much Twisted Fate that's been played around the world in the most recent versions of League of Legends, but will enable them to camp this bottom lane. So gonna be looking at Instinct and Buzio to really try to set this one up for their Twisted Fate, for their Volibear, to be able to come in and get them the early lead that this 100 Thieves next team is so prone to getting themselves.
Yep. Especially with the Volibear, who, unlike Sejuani, can definitely look for things pre-6 as well. Of course, it's not the most potent of ganks. It's not like you're on some superstar level 2 ganker, but you bring a lot of damage. You can bring in the gank, and maybe that's just what 100 next need here in this game. But Chad is going to be starting out here on his blue side, not spotted out. Shady going in.
Yeah, it's going to be Shady getting hooked back on in by Buzio, but he's
Exhaust
taken so
and-
much less than he
Is he
dishes
killed?
out. Buzio going to try to flash on away, but that's a huge rend for Azog, and he's going to get the execute down in the 2 versus 2, and followed up with by another hook from Shady. Instinct going to be taken down,
just
incredibly
two
low
kills.
rend, not quite available yet, so Instinct will escape with his life for the time being, but with all summoners blown to the bottom lane, it's first blood claim for the side of Maryville.
Man, that is first world problems if I ever seen it. Like, never mind that. Jungle, he is level 3, but does have to be careful. Does not have any backup here. Already taken below half. Where's the
Yeah,
hook?
that
There
W
it is.
bonus damage. Now Chad's kind of finding himself locked on up here. He's getting all the spears thrown into him. Rand going to be coming through soon. He is going to be able to escape, but he had to expend his flash as a result. And Chad really not having the early game impact he was looking for there, trying to catch the wave, but finding himself forced off of the map as a result. Is Spyrax on for some fancy stuff out of Young in the mid lane.
Yep. To be fair, though, that was a little bit of Pega pathing there from Chad Jungle. Like, yes, you are level 3 to their level 2. Yes, you do have double buffs. Yes, you are the big and mighty tanky Volibear, but it's just you against 2 people. A Nautilus that can more or less CC you for Azog to completely stack up enough Ren stacks to kill you. And it costs Chad Jungle his flash there. So that's 3 flashes blown already by this Maryville bot lane. And also first blood here for this Callista, who can look to snowball in this bot lane. If you are able to hit level 6 first, throw the Shady on in, completely just shut down and continuously kill Instinct's Varus.
That's what they're going to be looking for here. Spyrax is keeping his way shoved on in, trying to get all the mileage he can before Twisted Fate hits 6, but he's going to flash away here as he sees that Chad is coming for him. He is just going to use those birds to try to get himself a little bit more of a path out of here. He's going for a cross-country tour now, managing to keep Chad as far away from him as possible, but likely just going to have to go for the execute here. Nowhere left really to go as Chad is coming in for the chase, but Spyrax should certainly be able to get this execute down before he gets caught by that big old bear.
It does take quite a bit, though, and as we see in the mid lane, it means 100 Young. Sure, they're not able to get the kill, but he's able to just get that entire wave, drop it into turret, force Odd Orange here to come and collect it, and show where this Diana is. Let this TF get a nice prio on the back. Already has the Lucidity boots. Thanks to that, means that these Destinies are going to be up that much more often, and he can look to really just spam that R button off cooldown even more.
Yeah. And Gamsu really doing a good job pressuring early in this top lane with his Tempest up against this Akali. Can get that vision on to the Ninja, make sure that he's able to maximize the amount of poke he can get. And it's paying off pretty well here as he's got about a 20 CS lead. Going to be closed up a little bit as Chippies picks up this wave while Gamsu goes in for that recall. But as of right now, that's a nice strong point for 100 Thieves in the early game, something that they have been lacking in the previous game.
We'll see what they can translate this to, because, well, it was a mildly disastrous start to the bot side of the map here. One of the big strong sides that we have been doubting for 100 Thieves, it's been Chat Jungle, it's been their bot lane. Chat Jungle looking for Spyrax.
Yeah, gonna go in, gonna get the stun. Nicely played by Young to walk past the wind wall before he goes on in for the gold card. Going to enable him to pick up that kill, but now Odd Orange diving on in, trying to pick up the kill, is going to be able to get it onto Chad. Now Young going to have to kite it on back. Has a little bit of an opportunity to go in onto Odd Orange there, but does get hit by another Crescent Slash. Has to back out away. The Lunar Rush damage is too much of a threat there. Odd Orange going to make it a 1-for-1 there, but it is a successful gank from Chad in the mid lane.
Yep, it is that 1-for-1. And kind of goes to show that Spyrax, as this Yasuo, has to eat a lot of damage from this Twisted Fate early on. Not the tankiest of champions, in fact, very, very on the squishy side in terms of base stats and base scalings as a melee champion. And he has to kind of more or less abuse the passive shield to really deal with a lot of the harass coming out from this Twisted Fate every time he wants to walk up in CS. We'll see if the tides do change in this lane, though. Once Spyrax may be able to get a little bit of sustain under his belt, may be able to get his first big ticket item in this game to get that bonus crit chance and really start putting the pressure here onto Young.
Absolutely here, as is going to have those Berserker Greaves, but definitely wants a little bit more if he wants to be able to go in for any kind of assassin plays. As Odd Orange going to pick up the first dragon of the game for the side of Maryville here, as they should, given the pressure they have in their bottom lane. They've got the winning duo, especially now that First Blood was picked up for Azog in that matchup. Now, just going to be able to get themselves off on the right foot, dragon-wise. Chad is in the area, but it's no objective left to take. Might want to take a little bit of a peek for a potential dive in this bottom lane. We can see Young is coming over there. Here it comes. As the Destiny Gate is opened up. Azog is left 1 versus 3 under the turret. Gonna get hooked by the Thresh. Gonna get gold carded. Gonna get taken down by Instinct. That's what this comp was drafted to do. And so far, 100 Thieves, they execute it the first time around.
Yep. We'll have to see how this snowball can work out here, because it is Lethality Varus, not known for his insane scaling, not going to be that 1 versus 9 team fighting sort of AD carry. This is more to just put Azog in the dumpster here as this Callista. Got that first blood, but when you're all alone and there happens to be a Twisted Fate in the enemy mid lane, yeah, you're going to have a bad time. Does mean, though, Odd Orange able to pick up the Herald here on the top side of the map, and this control ward, actually, that Odd Orange is walking over, that's been there for a good solid several minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So, Odd Orange has definitely had a lot of his potential surprise factor and, like, dominance and match dictating that we saw come out of him last game, neutered so far this game from this 100 Thieves next new draft in this game too, Gordo.
Oh, Chad's been sitting in this mid lane for a while now, but he's not going to be able to net a kill as a result. Spyrax has his flash coming up in just a couple of seconds. He's not going to start dashing through all those minions when he does not know where Volibear is lurking. So, once again, not going to be a successful gank from Chad there, and Odd Orange really taking full advantage of it here. He's got a 25 CS lead for himself, just about, and it's just growing bigger and bigger as this Diana is able to just clear so much more efficiently than the Volibear.
Yep. That is one of the big strengths of Diana in the meta right now. You just kind of more or less turbo clear through the jungle. You shred through them. You melt them. Damn. I really wanted a third way of saying, like, fast and furious here for this clear speed to just have the triplet here. Rule of threes. But I won't be having that.
Suppose not, but we'll find our third with time. And speaking of finding thirds, both of these teams looking to find their third kill of the match here. 100 Thieves working towards it a little bit more proactively. They've got Chad in the bot lane once again. This is their second big bot lane dive tool here, the Stormbringer from the Volibear.
Oh,
They're
look at
set
this
up for
flame
it, and they
warning.
do have Young's ultimate, but Young not going to have his path into the river at the moment. It is being flanked by Odd Orange. Not sure if he knows that he's there.
Oh,
the flash over from Shady with the depth charge. He is going to go into the stasis right away. Now the dive starting off in the bottom lane. Chad going in on to Azog. They're going to be able to pick him up here. But now what of Young? He's managed to flash on out back in the middle lane. 100 Thieves next. They're going to claim themselves a kill in the bot lane without even using the Destiny. And Young, he's going to manage to escape the 3-man in the middle lane.
Yep, it cost his stopwatch, but that is worth it. And a little bit more here for the 100 next composition, because once again, just giving Azog literally nothing to do there. Caught between a rock and a hard place there. Just trying to farm under his own turret for the love of God. But okay, there's no Destiny to worry about. But there's the Chad Jungle Stormbringer to worry about. You don't even have your turret helping you out, which royally sucks if you happen to be an 80 carry.
And this is the 100 Thieves next that we wanted to see. Not the Sejuani composition that we saw in game number 1, but this one where they just go in for these aggressive bot lane dives, where they look to get the bot lane dominance and to win through there. Azog now going to be thrown down to 1 and 2. His early start has been effectively shut down here. It's the help of those ganks in the bottom lane. Now it's up to...
This is the no-you.
Oh boy, it's up to 100 Thieves to try to keep it going, but just like that, Azog's going to get a bunch more gold funneled back into him as they just get 3 members in the bottom lane. They claim 2 turret plates right away. They're going to throw down the Rift Herald, and they should be able to get this entire turret straight up to be split amongst the 3 members of Maryville.
And whatever lead Instinct had there from those 2 dives to kill Azog has been completely neutered. Azog is now once again back in the lead if we can... Never mind that. Great hook. Okay, I got a little overexcited there. Thank you, Directed Cam. Right as the dragon does spawn, though, so that is a big cooldown in that Destiny being taken down. We'll see if it has any bearings or repercussions here on this dragon fight.
Yeah, and Young gonna have to immediately blow the ghost that he just switched to, is now Gamsu gonna be the one caught out there. A nice dodge on the Moonfall, going to keep him alive, and a nice Dragon's Rage going to get him out of dodge. Nicely played by Gamsu to survive the engage there, but now what can 100 Thieves do off the back of all those blown resources? They can't use the Destiny anymore, but Chad can just walk up into 3 people, get knocked on up, get ulted by the Yasuo. He's ignited, he's burning down. He is going to be able to survive here, though. Now what can the rest of 100 Thieves find? Once again, the engage has been stifled, but what of the counter engage? It does not appear to be coming through anywhere, as nobody is able to get on to anybody on the Maryville side. And Maryville, with their better health bars, with Chad forced off into trying to farm up to get some health back, they want to move in towards this dragon if they can.
Yeah, but keep in mind the Maryville composition. I mean, there have been a lot of big ultimates used here on both sides, and Maryville just opting, we kind of don't want to force this. This could be a tricky situation if we get cornered off in that pit, so it is just going to be giving up the dragon after all is said and done. But look at Chippy's in the top lane. It does mean he is able to get some alone time to recuperate some of this CS gap from earlier in the game. He's going to not be able to pick up the tower plate since he is backing, but get a free back. Finish off that Leeching Leer. Look towards finishing this Mythic and the Zonias as well, because once this Akali has the Zonias, you're going to be able to kind of be like a pseudo-Lissandra-ish in teamfights with the amount of time you can solve between the Shroud and between the Zonias active.
Absolutely here. And going to be another dragon falling into the pockets of 100 Thieves next. They are finding their way back into this game. Gold is just about even, and it's about all that you could hope for, given that 100 Thieves, they did get off to not the greatest of starts here, and have now managed to fight their way back.
You already have Chad Jungle here.
Yeah, Chad looking in to get onto Chippies, but Chippies just gonna tumble on out of there. We do have the 2 bot lane divers are here in the bottom lane, but the bot lane is in the mid lane, so not really going to be any potential dive threat coming across.
Here. He's getting sequentied off, thankfully. Great feat, great Shroud. Happy feet, wombo combo, just get outside of that danger zone.
That ain't Falco, and Chippies is going to manage to escape as a result. Is now just going to be a 3-man in the mid lane from the side of 100 Thieves, looking to get some kind of siege onto some kind of tower here, as they were able to pick up the one in the bottom lane. Now, what more can they get? Spyrax all alone in this top lane while Gamsu farms on out the Krugs. He's going to be able to pick up the second turret of the game for the side of Maryville.
And this is always a scary prospect. The free farming Yasuo in the sidelines. Oh, there's the Destiny Azog in danger.
Gamsu goes for the big kick, but it does get flashed away from Azog in time, but he gets chased down nonetheless, and Young is able to pick up that kill. So now here comes Chad trying to get the flank there, just really getting knocked up and hit by turrets, so he is going to be able to escape. It's going to be a 1-for-0 again in the favor of 100 Thieves next. They're continuing to find the picks, they're continuing to find the plays, and nearly all of them are onto Azog.
Yep. Poor Azog, like, dude's just trying to exist, and then all of a sudden it's just like, Destiny, Chains of Corruption, and he's like, I guess I'll die now. Like, what do you do there? There's nothing you can do. He's able to save his support there. Shady. And we just see the solo laners here in Spyrax and Chippy's more than happy to just kind of keep farming out those side lanes. Like, yeah, we can't really do anything about that mid lane. And Azog's like, yeah, you kind of can. Just grab some turret pressure, grab some waves, scale on up. Remember me.
Yeah, this 100 Thieves or if Maryville rather do manage to pull on out this game, it will certainly be dedicated to Azog's memory, as he is just getting bullied by this composition from 100 Thieves next. Shady, looking for potential engage in the mid lane, is just going to be dark passaged away from by the side of Buzio. Nobody really using any resources as of yet. So now we can see a little bit of river control being claimed here for the side of 100 Thieves. They want to have vision on this top side. They want to make sure that it's safe for Spyrax to go and farm out this big ol' wave. Other than that, not going to be too much opportunity for engages. Both of these squads playing conservatively around this top side.
Yeah, it is just the vision game right now. Everybody's fighting over control for river vision. Top side is going to be 100 Thieves favored, and bot side's going to be Maryville favored. As we have a potential scuffle shaping up here in the river. Chad Jungle might just be pincered off. Look for that blast cone. We have the gang all here, baby.
Yeah, the gang's all here, and Chad is not anymore, as he is just going to get instantly one-shot there by all of the members of 100 Thieves next. Not even going to use the Stormbringer to try to give himself a little bit of bonus health. He knows that he's got no chance in this world, and maybe didn't even have the opportunity to use it, even if he wanted to. It's going to be a kill claimed back for Maryville, their first in a while, and they're going to throw down the Rift Herald and try to set up a siege in mid lane off the back of this. Shady, waiting around in the wings, might be looking for a potential engage.
Yeah, does have the flash, does have that ultimate here, which can be a great setup. There is no last breath, there is no Spyrax to do that instant wombo combo to delete this backline, but still a great chunk onto this mid turret here from this Maryville Rift Herald that was about to time out, if I'm not mistaken. So, hey, it's better than nothing with that Herald, and see what Maryville want to do to set up for maybe their first Cloud Dragon of the game, because they do have control over this river in terms of pure manpower, and technically in vision, however, it's just those 2 wards. We'll see what the plan is.
The plan for now is going to be to claim the mid-outer turret. They are going to be able to succeed in that step, and now they're moving on towards their second dragon of the game. That also going to be largely uncontested. Young going to trade for this top lane outer turret, but given that the dragon is going to go over towards the side of Maryville, it is going to be a trade in their favor in the cross-map macro play. That's kind of the situation they're forced into, though, as a result of Chad getting picked there. They just have to try to trade for objectives where they can and give up what they end up losing.
Yeah, and it is just a singular Cloud Dragon. It's not the end of the world like, yes, your opponent's onto Dragon buffs now. Yes, they're that much closer to his soul, but it's a Cloud Soul. It's still going to be a while out. Grab that turret for free. Get this TF more gold in his pocket to be able to deal with the oncoming onslaught of what will be having to lane into either Spyrax or Chippies, since both these side lane carries on the side of Maryville are gearing up towards their second item of the game here, Gordo, and once they get those, they're going to be kind of nightmares to face in the side lane. The Yasuo with that 100% crit, the Akali with just the pure stalling power, the pure sustain coming out from the Zonias, and the Rift Maker.
Yeah, like you say, Maryville, they're starting to scale on up here, and if they get their opportunities, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with in these fights. 100 Thieves next, they're great at making picks in the laning phase. They're great at executing dives in the bottom lane, but once it's really more of a straight-up 5 versus 5, they have a lot less opportunities. Shady barely going to avoid that death sentence in the river there. That might have been a big pick.
Let's see, because there definitely has been a lot of calm on the Rift here. It feels like Gordo. We saw, yes, that one pick onto Chad Jungle, but that was after another just calamity of calm, so to speak. Both these teams, they definitely have made changes to both the draft plan and game plan, it feels like, going into this game number 2. Of course, though, Baron is on the table now. We all know how explosive games can be when they are this even. All it takes is that one big breakout fight that leads your team to getting that Baron, maybe grabbing an inhib that gets you control over the map in terms of tempo here, Gordo. So we're definitely on the edge of something great here, and it's going to happen soon. We just don't know when.
Yeah, definitely a calmer looking game 2 here. As Maryville had already won the game at this time in game number 1. So definitely a slower look this time around. Nobody knocking on the Nexus quite as of yet. Nobody really even knocking on inner turrets yet. So we got quite a ways to go till this game is going to be said and done. As you said, that does mean that the fights can be all the more explosive, can be all the more close. So nobody has a substantial gold lead yet. That's going to be Chains of Corruption. Landed on a Shady in the mid lane. He's going to use the Dread line to try to escape. Is going to be able to do so. Young not able to close the gap to land the gold card. So Shady really not going to expend too much. Instinct going to use the Chains of Corruption to not be able to complete the pick. Now that's a big engage tool down for the side of 100 Thieves. Maryville, they're going to notice that. They're going to move up and take control over this Baron.
Yes, let's see how much they're able to get with it, because this Maryville composition, give them an inch on this Baron and they will go an entire mile. Because turns out Callista, Yasuo, Diana, Akali has a relatively quick Baron take time. Experts are in disagreement on whether or not it's very quick or just quick, but it's not going to last long. Might see a pick here. Both these teams just kind of fishing each other out.
Yeah, the Flay gonna come on through. Spyrex just going engaging onto Buzio here. Young has teleported in with the Destiny. Odd Orange going to be forced into the stasis here. So now here comes Chad going on in, getting chunked out very low. Going to be a 1-for-1 there between Odd Orange and Chad. Now look at Chippies. He's going in for the dive. He's gonna pick up the execute onto Instinct. Now he's left in a 1 versus 2 though. He's gonna get taken down here under the turrets. Tumbles back into the inhibitor turret. Gonna fall down as a result. And look at Gamsu. He's at a 1 versus 2. He picks up the double kill there. Now going in further onto Azog. Gets chunked out a lot by the Rend, but not enough to go down. And a triple kill picked up for Gamsu here, coming back for the 100 Thieves next roster. Wins them the fight, picks them up the ace, and that's going to be control of the map to the side of 100 Thieves.
Man, Gord Draker Sterix is just so goddamn disgusting, Gordo. Like, Spurge just able to run into the face of a Yasuo, into the face of this Callista, tank them up entirely, win that fight more or less for his team, because he's able to just take out 3 members on his own, it feels like. Kind of obnoxious if you ask me, but hey, it is one hell of a build here, and it's going to allow this Lee Sin to keep doing just crazy shenanigans like that, it feels.
Yeah, absolutely is going to here, and that's a nice, really blow open the game win for the side of 100 Thieves next. They really need to have a little bit of extra gold in their pockets to be able to execute on these fights, and they just get it split in just the right way. They're able to take down Odd Orange. They're able to make it so that Chippies only trades 1s for 1, and Gamsu, he just finds his angle to carry out the team fight from there.
Destiny is available if they do just want the quick insta-pop to check this out. There's the blue trinket. They're not doing this fast enough as well. Keep in mind, Gamsu's in the bot lane. There is that Destiny. They know this is happening. They will be able to contest this. There's the gold card. Look for the ulti.
Yeah, here they come in. 100 Thieves next. They have all of this face up. They know what they're going on into. The dive comes on in. The steal comes through for the side of Instinct. And the going to go towards 100 Thieves next. They've already picked up 3 kills. They're going to lose 2 members on the backside. But now Azog left all alone in the Baron pit. He's going to fall on down as well. A triple kill picked up for Instinct there. Chippy's the last man standing. And another big fight win for 100 Thieves next. A bigger Baron spiel to boot. And they're going to start the siege.
Hoo-wee mama. Okay, Maryville definitely tried there, but that was probably trying a little bit too hard, if you ask me, Gordo. Like, should have peeled off that Baron sooner. You're going to be taking a lot of pain in that pit. When you're all trapped up in there, it means the bear is able to go on in here for Chat Jungle. It means you're able to just eat up all of those wild cards, all of those piercing arrows from Instinct, from Young. And they even steal the Baron as well. So now Maryville is going to be kind of in dire straits here, Sure, it's only this 4,000 gold difference, which isn't a game-ending difference, but they're going to be having to play on the back foot in both these previous two big fights we saw, Gordo. Maryville started them off, and they were not able to get the executes. They were not able to get the absolute pops onto the back line and blow up this Instinct Young combo. We'll see if maybe third time's the charm here, but there's only so many more chances they will have if they keep having mishaps like that.
Yeah, absolutely the case here. Now going to be about a 3k gold lead in the pocket of 100 Thieves next. They've gotten the early game advantage they were looking for. They've tied up the Dragon score. Now Odd Orange looking for a play here, going on in onto Gamsu, but Chad is there with the ultimate going in onto the Diana. There goes the big moonfall, followed up with by the last breath from Yasuo. Nice combo coming through from Maryville. They turn around the fight with the execute damage from Chippies. He does not manage to land the Shuriken flip, but Shady goes on in with the Fate's Call. He lands the Dredge line to lock down onto Buzio. They're going to be able to pick up that kill as well. It is a 4-for-0 in favor of Maryville. They strike back. They are not willing to take this series to a game 3 if they don't have to. Now this might be the pick on Instinct. Nobody's found him again. The Kunai just barely miss, and Instinct gets the recall off.
Man, all right. Well, I said maybe third time's the charm, and turns out third time just does happen to be the charm there, because when it started off there, it looked a little bit worrying there for Maryville, Gordo, if you ask me. Like, they kind of got spotted out by that ward. They were forced to go in for that fight. We saw Odd Orange just chip down so badly, but they're able to get that fatty wombo. They're able to just keep everybody on the enemy team in the bouncy castle up in the air, not able to touch down on the ground here, so to speak, without a little bit of death first, as that's going to completely stifle the enemy Baron push here. Sure, Instinct still has it, but no one else does. We're back to a dead even game here, and maybe Maryville have found their stride, Gordo. Maybe they have found their way to just completely pop the enemy team here.
Yeah, and that way it's just for everybody to press their R button. Odd Orange gets his way into the middle of everybody. He pushes Moonfall, follows it up with from Spyrex's last breath. That keeps everybody suspended to guarantee that the Moonfall damage also hits. As long as these two are able to get themselves in the middle of everybody, it's such an easy team fight for the side of Maryville.
Yes, but we have to see, is that a one-time deal? Will 100 next be able to go, all right, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, we're not going to let that happen, or we'll be fool me twice, shame on me sort of deal here, because the game is dead even. There's no Baron, there's no Dragon here for the next 2 minutes. It's just going to be the side lane game here. It's just going to be the river control game here to set up for these next big objectives here. Maybe look for some picks in the side lanes. Maybe look for some picks in this mid lane here if you're 100 next. Who knows, but we are once again here, dead even, and on the verge of something big, Gordo.
We've been there once. We've been there about 3 or 4 times now. With 2 minutes to go on the next Dragon, we're certainly going to find ourselves back sooner rather than later. Going to be Baron and Dragon spawning very close to each other here. Really curious to see if one of these teams can pull off something sneaky, can grab themselves a Dragon while still contesting the Baron, and really be the macro play that would make a big difference for either one of these teams to get themselves up on the Soul Point.
Yeah, it definitely will be tricky, though, for 100 next. One of the things with their composition is they don't have the most insane objectives taking speeds. It is that lethality Varus. It is the Twisted Fate, who, yes, built primarily AP, but did, of course, go for the standard Twisted Fate detour to get that rapid fire cannon, get those easy peasy stuns. But it does come at the cost at objective taking prowess here, and hey, if you're all stuck in a Baron pit, it does make wombo combos a lot easier and a lot more deadlier, so we'll see, because, well, I'll say it again here. We're on the verge of something big, especially now that we have under a minute till these next 2 objectives here, the second Baron of the game, the 5th Dragon of the game, and we already see this great setup here, this Death Push setup by 100 next.
Yeah, and look at these big arrows coming on across from Instinct. He is set up for success here, sitting at 6-1-4 on this Varus is so powerful that Spyrex using the wind wall there. That's going to be the engage the chat is looking for. Young going to dodge on away from the engage from Odd Orange, but he goes on in with the Moonfall, but there isn't any follow-up from Spyrex available. He's stuck in the Resurrect, and that means Odd Orange going to end up falling on down. Azog trades back, gets a kill onto Chad, and now he's trying to rampage across the fight. Maryville are turning this fight with their Callista. Azog dashes forward, picks up another kill onto Young, but now it's Gamsu in the backline trying to get there onto Spyrex. He gets taken on down by the Yasuo. It is a 4-for-2 in favor of Maryville. They managed to pull out the fight off the back of Azog's Callista.
Man, and blink and you'll miss it because I had to turn my head away for just a split second because my doggy insisted on licking my leg there right as that fight started, and it looks grim at the beginning there for Maryville here. Once again, they get engaged on. They're not able to get off that big combo. I mean, we still have the last breath here for Spyrex, but they're able to get Chippies into that backline, get the access, kill Instinct, kill Young. And there's not a lot of damage to follow up afterwards because Gamsu not able to do that 1v3 trickery as well as he was last time. Maryville, hey, third time's the charm, fourth time's the charm. Now they have the Baron, now they have the lead, and they can look to dictate this game and dictate when the next fight happens here, thanks to this big old purple buff.
Yeah, huge deal for them here, but 100 Thieves next. They're the first ones onto the Dragon. They're going to try to sneak this one away before the purple buff ends up mattering, and with Odd Orange all the way on his own Gromp, it does look like they are going to be able to do so. 100 Thieves next, likely going to put themselves onto Soul Point here.
Yeah, of course, though. It is the Cloud Soul, or I guess the more popular terminal or scientific name would be the Clown Soul, since people tend to value it the least. X-Flash being channeled. There is the knock-up. Odd Orange. Not going to be in range quite yet, but is in range now. That's a great hook.
Yeah, they're going for the dive here onto Gamsu. Odd Orange, though, just doesn't have the damage quite available here. Doesn't want to commit the Moonfall. Doesn't think that he'd be able to get it, although Spyrex was waiting in the wings. Surprised not to see that combo come on through from the Maryville team, but they got the Baron buff. They pick up the top inner turret nonetheless.
Oh, Shady was looking there. This man has no fear now. You just land a hook, and especially when there's a final breath backing you up. Because this is one of the big power points of this Maryville composition now that they are in the dictating pace of this game. Now that they are making more and more of this enemy 100 Thieves next jungle just a dangerous blank spot on the map here, Gordo. It means it's that much easier to catch people off guard, get them in your wombo, and look to just kind of pop the enemy team. However, though, there should be most of the Baron buff already gone here from the side of Maryville. So it looks like this is just going to be more of a stabilization Baron buff. Man, I hate that word. It's hard. But put them a little bit in the lead here. Put them in the tempo lead. Set their foot on this map here and dictate the pace of the game until these next big objectives.
Absolutely here. Now going to be about 3.5 minutes or so on both of the major objectives once again. And now 100 Thieves next, they got a little bit of negotiating power given how these have ended up going, as now they might be willing to trade away a Baron for themselves getting the Dragon Soul. Now, as you said, it is the Cloud Soul, so definitely not the most valuable one. Most would value the Baron substantially higher, but given how these last few team fights have gone, it's hard to tell if an actual 5-on-5 team fight is really going to be in the cards for this 100 Thieves next roster this late into the game.
Because they don't really want to fight these big fights here. They want to start off fights on uneven footing. You want this Twisted Fate. You want this Varus to just throw out their long-range poke spells, chip down this enemy team, and then try and force when the enemy team is resting on like 3/4 or maybe half-sized health bars. That is going to be a little bit hard, though, because there has been an extreme amount of sustain itemized here by the Maryville composition. It's only really going to be a jungle camp, maybe half a wave for them to recover a lot, if not all of this poke this Varus and Twisted Fate will be putting out. So it's on 100 next here. They have to make something happen quick. So they're going for this. Teleport, no you.
Oh,
that's a good pick.
Okay,
Great
Chippy's not going to
wall.
follow the shuriken flip all the way across the map, but there is an engage in the jungle. Chad going to go on
Look
in,
at
going to go
that
into the stasis.
combo.
There's the combo from Odd Orange and Spyrax. They just
Oh.
decimate the 100 Thieves next line up there with their abilities. They destroy 3 members of 100 Thieves, and that's going to be the open up into the base that they
It's gonna
were
be the
waiting
game.
for there. Maryville might be looking to take the entire game, as you say, Gofrino. A nice kick away from Gamsu, going to keep himself alive, but can he and Young defend this base 2 versus 5?
It's gonna be hard. Like, they're not gonna be able to do literally squat. This Lee Sin gets instantly melted when all 5 people are focused firing him.
Coming back up, round
and
2. Nope.
100 Thieves, they have to fight this because they can't lose this. They will be out of playoff contention, but there's nothing they can do here, Gordo, as Maryville are gonna lock their playoff spot here for the Risen Champions League.
Congratulations to our collegiate squad here. They're going to advance up to 2-1 in their group, and that is guaranteed to be enough to escape from the group stage here and make themselves all the way into playoffs. Now, we don't know if they're going to be first seed or second seed. That depends on who wins the wild card showdown over on the wild card stream. If wild card red are able to win, then Maryville will be out as first seed. If wild card black win, they will be out as second seed.
Yeah. Of course, though, I think we're going to have to hand it off to the analyst desk here to just kind of break down what was quite a decent, sizable comeback here from the Maryville composition when we kind of thought they were out.
And what a game number 2, everybody. This was such a back and forth match. Once again, Joker, Axeman 87, and Mystic here with this game. And all right, I gotta bow down to Axeman 87 for the 2-0 prediction. It didn't quite happen as fast as you would have liked it to happen, but Maryville pull out the victory in what looked like it was a better draft for 100 Thieves Next and a better way that they played around it, like you said, Mystic. But Mystic, things just started falling apart there into the mid to late game team fights.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate the way it played out because they managed to win a couple team fights, not necessarily early, but they're in the mid game. But what 100X needed to do is they needed to execute the 1-4 correctly because they're not going to win straight up 5v5s. They needed to either send TF or Lee Sin into the side lane and pull Akali away from these team fights when she doesn't have teleport. Because of the fact that you're always going to have either the TF or the Lee Sin teleport, so long as you're syncing them correctly, if you can pull him out of the fight, we saw how effective Chippies was in these team fights once he got items, once the lane phase was over. And because they couldn't do that, you saw it in the team fight there in mid lane right after the dragon. Chippies just jumps into the back line, can't be killed because of the hourglass and because of his evasiveness, and he just wrecks havoc, shreds the back line, and before they can get out the necessary damage, 3/4 of the back line's already gone. So mainly just comes to execution of the comp as a whole. They did a lot of things better that game, but because they couldn't avoid those full-on 5v5s, it wound up costing him in the end.
That it absolutely did, and it wasn't even necessarily the 5v5s we saw there at the end of 4v4 to secure the game. Axeman, this was off of Chippy's TPing to topside to try to fight Gamsu. Gamsu immediately teleporting away, and then Maryville take the fight with that with the Diana Yasuo combo. Gofarino stated it perfectly during the cast, Axeman. That combination, that jungle mid synergy, if you lock everybody in with the Diana ultimate, pull them in, get the Yasuo last breath to hold everybody in place and secure the Diana damage, you end up just winning the fight there.
You really do, and we were talking about this during the game too. This was some midnight tech, man. This was the dark tech coming out from Maryville. We were talking about Shady specifically with the build there. The Abyssal Mask coming through. You hit that ultimate with Nautilus. What you're getting is bonus magic damage coming through from the Diana ultimate. You're also getting a knock up for your Yasuo. And meanwhile, you're enabling Azog to come in there with the multiple target damage, with the Runaan's Hurricane from the Callista. And what you're doing is tearing people apart, right? One of the only defenses 100 Thieves Next had for this combo was that Lee Sin kick. So in that last play, when it was 4v4, no chippies, no Gansu, what happened was Diana was not kicked away, was able to get that ultimate off, where before in several of those team fights, it didn't go off, right? It was just the Yasuo coming in with chippies on top of it, and while they did a lot of damage, it wasn't the combo that they were looking for, but that last fight, everything came together perfectly and just deleted 100 Thieves.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Not only did it delete them in the game, it also deleted them from the prospects of the playoffs, as now Maryville University will go out from Group B and be able to move on to the playoffs there with that head-to-head tiebreaker, taking that 2-1 there out of Group B. So it looks very, very good here for Maryville moving on. We kind of touched on it here before we got into the stream, before we got really going. Maryville with basically a very similar team almost made it into the first scouting ground circuit and almost made it in the spring, just based off of the fact that they missed one tournament. They were even in points with 100X. They weren't able to make it, and now they finally made their way. They've got some good points there. They had a rough go in Cup. They went 0-3, so they weren't really able to secure a lot of points. But now moving into playoffs, they've got secured themselves a better position to try to make that scouting ground circuit playoff here in the summer. Every single tournament, every single game matters because there's so few of them. So Maryville able to move on to the playoffs, get themselves some good points here. And yeah, Mystic, I want to look towards you here. I want to kick it over to you for both of the for 100X, especially since we were talking, kind of going back and forth. But what do they need to do to secure any kind of position here in the summer scouting ground circuit? Because they are looking like they are struggling quite a bit.
It really comes down to communication and understanding of just their overall play style. We saw it from both teams today, but this was not a particularly clean series, and by any means. Lot of obvious communication errors. We saw in game one how we had the TP come in from Gamsu, and they had a 5v3 at Dragon, and they had him basically surrounded and did nothing with it. We saw in this game too here where they had Young dead to rights, and they just let him walk smooth up to top lane and get the execute for himself. So a lot of just poor communication, a lot of not being on the same page. So ironing those things out, making sure they get their play style under them solidly, some solid drafts that they can harken back to when they need to in crunch time, and just overall gel better, because it seems like some of these pieces just aren't fitting together right now cohesively when we're in the middle of the game and you need to make immediate adjustments.
Good things to look forward to here for the next tournament. Axeman, before we wind out the rest of the day, kicking it back over to you as we've talked about Maryville and now the conductor of the Maryville University trade. They're moving on to playoffs. What do they need to shore up to secure a high playoff spot and really secure those points towards this scouting ground circuit here in the summer?
I think a little bit of what 100 Thieves has to work on kind of applies to Maryville as well. The communication sometimes lacked a little bit, but there were also moments where the communication was like, "Oh man, I that was like a super next level play." The way they react to each other was really really nice to see, and I don't know. I mean, keep bringing the dark tech. Love to see it. Keep bringing. Um, Keep responding to the meta well. That Ziggs pick, we didn't talk about it very
Mm-hmm.
much in game one. That enabled Maryville like in a big way, and we didn't get to talk about that, but I really can't understate how much that meant for them in game one to be able to end the game that early. And yeah, I think going forward, just working on the little things would probably help them out quite a bit. But I'm a big Maryville fan, man. I think they go all the way. This is a really good showing from them.
That is quite the prediction there, Axeman. We'll have to keep tuned to it as they do make top 8, but let's see if they can make it on to the finals. That's going to be it for us here at Risen Esports for our portion of the Risen Champions League. Still plenty of matches going on. You can hop on over to Academy, twitch.tv/Academy to check out the main stream. We are going to be hosting, looks like one of the team streams, as plenty of other teams are hosting their own streams as they look towards the playoffs here for Risen Champions League. For Goferino and Gordo on the desk, for J-Dogging here doing production, handling everything fantastically today. Axeman87 Mystic joining me on the desk. My name is Joker. Thank you all so much for joining us for Risen Champions League action. We'll see you tomorrow for playoffs.